Actually, my favourite was my first ever World's Strongest Man in 2015. 3 ways to describe me in 2019, probably the nearly guy. But yeah, top 5 for Worlds is still the goal. My top 3 strongmen, my favourite strongmen, in no particular order.
Witness the fitness, baby.
Prep this year for Worlds has been crazy. It's been crazy long. Obviously with the current situation in the world, we thought Worlds was going to be around June time. So my whole training from last year, when it was in June time, to now, is all been working towards that kind of like midsummer kind of Worlds competition and peaking for that. And obviously when COVID hit, it kind of changed everything. So effectively I ended up having an off season during lockdown, during that time where we couldn't go out or anything like that, and I was so fortunate that I've got that home gym now. That's been probably the best thing that I've done this season. So prepping there has been a lot different from last year where I was training elsewhere. It's just allowed me to be much more focused, and because I've had that extra time, I feel in such a better situation. I think this is the strongest I've ever been. I'm feeling good. All the events are progressing nicely. So yeah, definitely having that extra little bit of time kind of really helped, and has kind of put me at my best ever. My favourite Worlds, most people probably think it would be like 2019. Obviously making the final that year was a big deal for me, but actually my favourite was my first ever World's Strongest Man in 2015. It was my first for a lot of things, first proper long haul flight, going out and competing in kind of Putrajaya, just outside Kuala Lumpur, so it's a long haul flight, competing with all my heroes, seeing how it all kind of panned out there and seeing these guys compete was incredible. And I was just green, I was trying to absorb as much information as possible off these guys, and just so I can improve. But it was an incredible experience, more for the strongman fan in me than the actual competitor. But obviously an honourable mention probably goes to last year making that final. My top 3 strongmen, my favourite strongmen of all time, in no particular order, is probably Kazmaier, Big Z, and then Magnus Samuelsson, which is a bit of a different choice. He won World's Strongest Man the first year I watched as a kid, and I was kind of mesmerised. And then obviously I grew up watching his career as well, so I was always a big fan of his. Kazmaier just is someone I actually came to learn about and watched the old episodes of World's Strongest Man on YouTube a couple of years once I got into the sport. And I think his intensity is unparalleled even in this day. I don't think there's anyone who's as intense as Kaz and who gets up for a lift as much as him. And then Big Z, because he's the greatest of all time in my opinion. He's won countless times, he's got countless second place finishes as well at Worlds, and he's just been very consistent, and as the sport's progressed, he's progressed also. The biggest influence in my life was probably my upbringing as a whole. My parents, I was from a good kind of steady family, and they provided everything for me, so anything sporting wise I was driven to. My dad would stand on the touchline to watch everything, whether that's cricket, rugby, athletics, all these different sports, and they were always there for me. So yeah, definitely my parents probably was my biggest influence on me, and obviously someone who they're people I'm trying to emulate. So my goals for this year, for 2020, I actually set these last year, and my goals for 2020 was to win Britain's Strongest Man, to pull £1,000, and to finish top 5 at Worlds. And that's, nothing's changed in those goals. I've achieved one of them. The £1,000 deadlift is actually on hold because we haven't had a competition to max out, and I'll only ever max out my deadlift in competition. Only do it when you're getting paid, But yeah, top 5 for Worlds is still the goal. That could definitely change once we get out there. We see the groups, we see the events. The great thing, or the frustrating thing maybe with Worlds, is the fact that you don't ever completely know the events. They are changeable, so it's difficult, very difficult to pick a winner. 3 ways to describe me in 2019, probably the nearly guy. Everything was really close to me in 2019. I got that second at Britain's Strongest Man. Got through to the final. Probably didn't have my best final, but yeah, it's a big change obviously for 2020. champion, motivated and relentless. So after Worlds, I've still got I'm doing the Brian Shaw Classic. The Shaw Classic is in December, so not long between Worlds and then flying back out to Colorado. That's a really good field. I think myself and Terry are going over from the UK. The events are great. You know, one of the events is the Hummer Tie deadlift, which used to be in the Arnold, and it's an event I've always wanted to do. And obviously, not being able to compete at the Arnold, it's kind of fantastic that Brian's put this comp on, and we're going to get a chance to have a pull on that. So I feel like that setup's going to suit me massively. Britain's Strongest Man, defending my title is obviously a massive priority for 2021. Make sure I get stronger at all my lifts, but you know, for me, I need to be be on the top of that podium in here and still Britain's Strongest Man. You know, that's a massive thing for me. So, you know, that's obviously one of the biggest goals. After that, improve my standings at World's Strongest Man. Keep progressing, keep getting better on every single lift I do, whether that's in training or in competition.